This is Lab 3, create and use a query. And there again, query is retrieving certain information from databases. So I'm going to go to the database link to open Blackboard for this course. On the assignment links, I will go to Lab 3. I'm going to download the files that I need for this. So the first one is actually an Excel file. So I'm just going to save this file to my desktop. And I already have a copy of it. The Lab 3 work file. I'm going to save it to my desktop. And then I'm just going to open the instructions file. You can save it to your desktop if you are only going to work on half of it, or you need the instructions later. I'm going to do the whole lab. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that. Enable editing. And the first thing we need to do here is open the Lab 3 work file that we downloaded from Blackboard. Under the ribbon, if there's a message bar that has a security warning, we need to make sure we enable editing. So I will minimize my directions file. I'm going to minimize everything till I get back to my desktop. And I'm going to make sure I have my Lab 3 work file and my athletes Excel file. So I'm going to open the Lab 3, and don't worry if it tacks on these extra numbers. When you're downloading these files, your browser will do that. Don't worry about that. So open the file. I do not have the security warning, so I will not have to click the enable content. First thing we're going to do is import data from another file. So we're going to import the data that's in the athletes Excel file, and we're going to import it and turn it into a new file in Access. So you can take, and I'm just going to show you what this file looks like. You don't have to open it. I'm going to open the Excel file. So instead of, if I wanted all this information as a table in Access in my database file, I don't have to copy and paste all this information or type all this information in. I just wanted you to see what it looks like. You don't even have to open the file. So I'll bring up my Access file. To accomplish this, and you can see on this instructions, I can take, there again, an Excel file and turn it into a table, into an Access file. And we're going to click on the External Data tab. We're going to click the Excel button in the Import group. We're going to browse and find that athletics file on our desktop. And then we're going to go through a wizard and choose all these settings here. So we're going to click on External Data. On the Import section, we're importing this. It is an Excel file, so you have to click on Excel. In your dialog window here, click on the Browse button, go to your desktop and find the file Athletes that you downloaded for this assignment from Blackboard. There it is. So you can either single click once and click open, or double click. When it comes in here, make sure you have this first option where it says import the source data into a new table in the current database. It should default to that option, but make sure that option is selected. Click OK. Right here, make sure you have show worksheets selected, and then you're in a wizard here. So all you do is answer the questions and keep clicking next till you come to finish. So click next. Make sure you check mark that the first row here is going to be your column headings in the database table. So click next. We're going to accept all defaults here. You don't need to change anything here, so just click next. Now we want to choose our own primary key. It's trying to make us a whole new ID field and numbering it from 1 to wherever. We already have a primary key, the student ID. So click the radio button that says choose my own primary key. Make sure it says student ID. If it doesn't, click the drop down arrow and change it to student ID. Click next. And we want to call this athletes. So I'm just going to backspace the word students out and click finish. Well, I think I have a space in front of that. My bad. Click finish. And right here, we're just going to close this. We don't have to save the import steps. It's too easy. You go through the wizard, answer the question. So just close this. You do not save the import steps. And over here, notice I now have a brand new table that came in called athletes. And when I open it, this is the same information that you saw in Excel. It is that easy to import data from even a totally different program. Excel is spreadsheets. This is database, and it turns it into a table. Okay, I'll bring my instructions up. So here's where it says choose primary key, click next. It talks you through it now. And then we close the save imports box, and we did. So we're on step 3. And the new athletes table, we're going to change the student ID and zip code so that the data field, the data type is short text. So we're going to set the zip code to a size 10, and we're going to set the state and region field to a size 2. Then we're going to save and close the table. If a message appears, we're going to say yes. So for my taskbar, I'll bring up my access file. I'm going to close this, change this to, with the table open, I'm going to change it to design view. And here on the student ID, we want to change that data type to short text. We want to change the zip code data type to short text. We want to change the zip code, so click anywhere in the zip code field name so that you have your field properties at the bottom. We want to change the field size to a 10. And then for the state, so click anywhere in the state field name so that you have the field properties for that field showing. We want to change the size to a 2. And now we want to save and close the table. So on the quick access toolbar, I'm going to save it. And this is where if you get a message, just click yes. And on the athletes table, close that table. Okay, I'll bring up my instructions. We're going to have to make that relationship. If we don't build the relationship between these tables and we try to do these queries and try to get information from 2 different tables, it won't work unless you have built that relationship. So, creating a table relationship, we're going to create a one-to-many between the student ID field in the athletes table and the student ID field in the scholarship table. We're going to enforce referential integrity so that if we add any athlete number to the athletes table, they will have to have that student ID number, or else it won't create it. Then we're going to click create button and save and close the relationship window. So I'll bring up my access work file. Up on the ribbon, click the database tools. In the relationships, click relationship button. Make sure the tables tab is the active tab. Click on the athletes table, click add. Click on the scholarships table, click add, and then close your show table dialog box. If you can't see these, this is just like any window. If you point to the bottom edge of this, I can make this longer if I need to see all the fields. I can make it wider if I'm not seeing all the field names. So just make sure you point to any one of the edges of the 4, anywhere on the 4 sides. Make sure your pointer changes to an arrow pointing to the left and right, and then drag it to make it wider or taller. So what we have to do is build a relationship from the athlete student ID to the scholarships award student ID. And how we build that relationship is left click on the student ID in the athletes table, hold that mouse button down, point to the student ID in the scholarships awarded, and let go. Make sure here it says athlete student ID, scholarship student ID. If you clicked it and these 2 don't match, you're not going to be able to create this. You're going to get an error message. Now check mark enforce referential integrity so that if I add any student ID to this scholarship table, then that athlete has got to exist over here. If you don't enforce referential integrity, what happens is you can have what you call orphans. If I add a scholarship ID here with a student ID and that student doesn't exist, it's an orphan because here's a scholarship with a student ID and that there is no student ID with that. So there again, this enforces data integrity. And then click Create. We want to save it. So up on the Quick Access toolbar, click on the Save, the diskette, and close it. Okay, now we're going to start queries. On step 5, we want to build a query that will answer the question, which scholarships are in the amount of $300 and for which sport. We're going to display the scholarship name, the sport, and the amount, and we're going to save this query as $300 scholarships. So we want to see what scholarships in the amount of $300 were given out and in what sport. Okay, so this is what the design view is going to look like. When we design the query, this is what the query should look like after we run it. This should be the results. So bring up your Access work file. Up on your ribbon, click on the Create tab. And let's use a query wizard. So in the query section, let's do query wizard. And what we want to display is the scholarship name. So we're always going to do simple query wizard. So click OK. The scholarship name is in the scholarship tables. So click the drop down arrow, go to scholarships awarded. And with the scholarship name, so either click once on the scholarship name and then the selector arrow, or you could have double clicked on the sport. I'm just going to double click. And then we also want the amount. So we have our 3 fields, so click next. We'll always do detailed, so just click next to accept the default. And we're going to call this $300 scholarship. We need to modify this query because we have the criteria of seeing only the scholarships that were $300. If we just click open the query without the modification, without the criteria, we're going to see all scholarships. So this is strictly for 300, so you must click in front of the modify the query design and click finish. Okay, so here is our design view. So going back to our instructions, what we need is any scholarship amount that is $300. So in your work file, you need the amount field in the criteria row. So find the cell that intersects the amount column, the amount field, in the criteria row, type in 300. Up here on your toolbar on your ribbon, just click the Run button, which is the red exclamation, and then down here on the results, just to verify it. So check with, this is what it should look like. Oh, that's a typo error on that. It should be a 3 instead of a dollar, a pound sign. Falls, Virginia, Dolphin, Falls, and that's correct. Okay. So now bring up the instruction file. We're on step 6. Using comparison operators, create a query to display which scholarships have been awarded in the amount of 300 or more for which sports with the sports names in alphabetical order. We're going to display the scholarship name, the sport, and the amount, and we're going to call this query $300 or more. Okay, in design view to build it, these are the fields we'll select. Make sure we do sport ascending, and then the criteria is going to be the greater than symbol 300. So I'll bring up my Access work file. I'm going to close this out. If it asks me to save it, say yes. So I need a new query. So up on the ribbon, click on Create. Let's go ahead and do Query Wizard again. Simple. Click OK. This time we need the scholarship name, sport, and amount, so it's basically going to be the same. So on the tables, make sure you go to Scholarships Awarded, and we want to select the scholarship name, whichever method you want. Double click or click once with the selector arrow, the sport, and the amount. Click Next. Details, that's fine. Click Next. We're going to call this $300 or more scholarships. And we definitely have to modify this because we have criteria we've got to build in for this. So click the modify button and click finish. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. So on the sport, we want to display it in alphabetical order. So click in the cell that intersects the sport field in the sort row. Click the drop down arrow, do ascending. The amounts, find the criteria row and the amount field where the intersection is and type in a greater than symbol, 300. Which scholarships have been awarded in the amount of 300 or more. I got that covered for which sports. We have that field in there and we want to ascending order. So up here on the ribbon, on the toolbar, click the run. And I'm going to bring up my instruction file and compare the results here with what I got, and it looks correct. Okay, let's close this out. If it asks you to save it, say yes. And we'll go to step 7. We're going to use the between comparison operator. We want to create a query to display which scholarships were awarded between August 1st, 2016 and September 30th, 2016. So I guess we're going in the future here. Okay, so we're going to sort it by sport name. We'll display the field's scholarship name, sport, amount, and award date. And we're going to save this query as awards August through to September. This is what the design will look like. This is what the results should look like. So I'll bring up my access. Up on the ribbon, click on the Create tab. Let's go ahead and do the Query Wizard again. We will do simple. What we need here is the scholarship name, sport, amount, and award date. So let's go to the scholarships awarded table, and we need the scholarship name. Select it. We need the sport. Select it. We need the amount. Select it, and we need the award date. Select it. Click the next button. Detailed is fine. Click next. We're going to call this awards August through September. Through September. Oh. And this definitely has to be modified. If we just open it, we're seeing everything. We have certain criteria we need to put in. So you have to click the modify and click finish. We need to sort this by the sport. Sort the query by sport name. So find the cell that intersects the sport field in the sort row. Click the drop down arrow and do ascending. We also need to have this scholarship award date between August and September. So find the cell that intersects the award date in the criteria row and type in between 8/1/16, the word and, and the date 9/30/16. Okay. So which scholarships were awarded between August 1st and September? Okay, sort it. Now let's run it. So up here on your toolbar, click on the run red exclamation mark. Let's bring up our instructions file. It should be home run hoops in Jefferson. Home run hoops in Jefferson. Basketball. I'm looking at my document. Basketball, 2 baseballs, 2, 3, 5, and 3. 8-4, 8-15, 9-30. Yep, everything's right. So instead of closing it and saving it, you can just go up here to the quick access toolbar and click on the just get to save it and then close it. So you can see, to see all your queries and tables here, right next to tables is navigation pane. If you click on that, you can do object type and then click all objects, which is already selected. You can look at this, like this aligns this so that here's all the tables and here's all the queries. You could also select on tables and related views. Here you have all of your tables. Here's a table, and these are queries because your table has the icon where it looks like a series of rows and columns, which is the database is, and your queries have like two of these beside each other. So you can tell this is a table by the icon, this is a query. So you have various ways that you can set this up to look at it. Also, if you want a bigger screen, you can decrease your navigation pane. If I click on that, it goes away, and you can see how it says navigation pane, and then I can expand it out. So you can take it away and expand it back out all you want. Just some different things you can do with the navigation pane. Okay, I'll bring up my instructions again. We're going to go to a compound query this time, where there's two criteria we're going to look for. So this one, we want to display scholarships over $500 that were awarded for football. We're going to display the scholarship name, the sport, and the amount. We're going to save this as football over $500. Okay, I will bring up my access file. We're going to take a little bit of different route this way. I will never know whether you used a query design or query wizard. So I'm going to show you how design works. It's just, you're going to get the same results, just a different way to do it. Up here on your ribbon, click on the Create tab, and let's do query design this time. What we had to do when we did the wizard was we selected the table and then the fields. This time you can select the fields or the tables and then the fields too. It's same way, just a different view. Okay, from what we need here for the football, we only need the scholarships table. There's nothing in the athletes table that we need for this particular query, so just click on the table you need and click Add. If we needed both, we would have clicked on both, and then close your Show Table dialog box. I can make this, there again, by using the sides, make it wider or taller, whatever I need to see. And we need the scholarships awarded, so how you select the fields here is just double click. We need the scholarship name, double click, it comes down here in the design part. We need the scholarships awarded. What is that? And maybe we do need that other one. The sport, and then we need the amount. So you just double click the field up here in the table and it will come down into your field properties. Okay, going back to the design, this particular one was the sport had to be football and it had to be over $500. So which scholarships over $500 were awarded for football? So there's two criteria here. So if I bring up my Access Work file, and in the sport field under the criteria, we got to type in football. And in the amount, it has to be greater than 500. Now don't put the $ in there, it won't work. Make sure you just put in the numbers here for the amount. Don't include the $. Let's run it. There's only two, the DC Science and the touchdown. Let me bring up my Word document and check. DC touchdown, that's correct. So now I will save this query, and I will, and when you go to the design view, that's another thing, is it doesn't ask for the name. So when you go through the query wizard, you go through that wizard, it asks you everything, and at the end it asks you for the name. Design view, it doesn't. So when we go to save it, we don't want to save it as query 1. We're supposed to save it as football, but it will, when you go to close it, it will ask you if you do want to name it. Where in the query wizard, that's the last step of it. Over $500. And click OK. And now I can close it. Okay. We're going to now do an OR query. This query that we just did up here is called an AND query because it had to meet two criteria, that it was football and greater than $5,500. So notice on the criteria row, we put both of these criteria on the same row in different fields, hence it's an AND. An OR query, notice here in the design, on the criteria row, you also have an OR. So an OR query, you can put it on, type it in baseball or swimming, or you can put it on the two different rows. And there again, sometimes it doesn't really work real well when you have ands and ors. Sometimes you got to type in the or. If I was just doing baseball or swimming, all I'd have to do is baseball on the criteria row and swimming on the or. But when you start coming with and, sometimes it gets complicated. So be careful and watch that query. Make sure you kind of spot check it, make sure it's run right. Okay, so we want which scholarships over $400 were awarded in the sports of baseball or swimming, and what was the award date of each. We want to display the scholarship name, the sport, the amount, and the award date. We're going to call this swimming or baseball over 400. I'll bring up my access file. We're going to click on create. Let's go ahead and go back to the wizard. Definitely simple. So from the scholarships awarded table, we want the scholarship name, we want the sport, we want the amount, and we want the award date. Click next. We will always do detail. Click next. We're going to call this swimming or baseball. Over $400. This is definitely going to involve some criteria, so we have to modify it. Let me show you what happens if you accidentally do open and click finish. You get everything. So you're not just getting the baseball, the amount over 400. If you accidentally do that, all you have to do to get back to that design view is click on your home tab, click the drop down view button, and click design, and you're back where you were. So if you do accidentally hit that, don't worry about it. Just go back to design view and you're exactly where you need to be. Okay, so on this case, on the sports and the criteria, we want baseball or swimming, and the amount has got to be greater than 400. Let's run it. We only have two, Rivers and Parks in Virginia. I'm going to bring up my instruction sheet. Swimming, baseball, everything's correct. So in my access file, I'm going to save this. Now we went through the wizard, so it automatically asked us to name it. So you shouldn't come up and say, you know, do you want to call it anything? And then close it out. Number 10, we're going to create a query using more than one table. So we've been doing nothing but the scholarship awarded table. This time we're going to retrieve information from two different tables. Okay, we want to create a query here. What is the name, email address, and phone number of the athletes who received swimming or tennis scholarships, and what is the name and amount of the scholarship? We want to display the first name, last name, college email, home phone number, scholarship name, sport, and award. We want this sorted in ascending order by last name, and we're going to save this query as swimming or tennis. Okay, so bring up your access work file. On the ribbon, let's do create, and let's go ahead and do the wizard. Wizards are wonderful. They talk you through everything. Simple, okay. Now in this case, we need from the athletes table, we need the first name, so select first name. We need the last name, and we need the college email, and we need the home phone. Now from the scholarship table, so go up here and now change your table to scholarships awarded. We need the scholarship name, the sport, and the amount. And click next. We'll always do detail. Click next. We are supposed to call this swimming or tennis. And we definitely have to modify it. There again, if you accidentally click the open and finish, just go back to home tab, click the view button and go to design view. So finish. The criteria here is, if I bring it back up, there again, criteria looking in the design view is swimming or tennis. So what is the name, email address, phone number? That all came from the athletes table who received swimming or tennis scholarships. There again, so we had to go to the scholarship table to retrieve the information for the scholarship name and the sport, and we also needed the amount. All of that was in the scholarship table. So we also do ascending by last name, so we need to right here do ascending by last name and swimming or tennis in the sport. So I'll bring up my work file, and in the sport, in the criteria row, type in swimming or tennis. And we want to sort by last name, ascending. Let me show you if you do something wrong. I've seen this a lot. Okay, swimming or tennis, I'm going to run it. I put in 3 M's. When I run it, notice I get nothing but tennis. So I'm like, something's not right here. There's, I wonder if I typed something in wrong. Go back to your view button, go back to design, and look at what you typed in. So I see I had a typing error. Run it again, and now I want to compare this to the results that I have here on my instruction file, and I look at mine and they are correct. So up here on the quick access toolbar, I'm going to save it and close it. And on number 11, we're going to use a wildcard here. Wildcard is actually an asterisk. We want to create a query to display which athletes receive scholarships from local Rotary clubs, country clubs, or foundations. We want to display the first name, last name, award organization, ascending order by last name. We're going to save this as wildcard query. So we want anybody that received a scholarship from any Rotary clubs, any of them, and there may be tons, any country clubs or any foundations. So the Rotary clubs, let me bring up access. You don't have to do this. Here's your organizations. So when you see these clubs here, here's a Rotary Club of Arlington, Rotary Club of Alexandria. So what we have to do is put that asterisk after the Rotary Club. Same if it's a foundation. They have foundations here at the end of most of these. So the foundation, if you see here, we're going to put the foundation, the asterisk before and after, country club just before. So the country clubs all end in country. They have the country club at the end. Here's a foundation. See, this foundation is in the middle, so we need to search before and after that. Okay, so I'll bring up my access. This is what we have to type in. Okay, so up on the ribbon, click on Create. Let's go ahead and use the query wizard. We'll do simple and OK. Okay, so from the athletes table, I need the first name, the last name, And then from the scholarship table, I need the organization name. So I'm using two tables this time. Then click Next. Detail, click Next. We're going to call this the wildcard query, which doesn't make sense. This is just for training purposes only while we're calling it the wildcard, because you'll see we have to use the wildcard symbol, which is the asterisk. We definitely have to modify this, and click Finish. Okay, so the criteria. Now when you type in the criteria, all you have to do is type in ROTARY, because all the Rotary clubs started with that word. So we want any scholarship organization that had Rotary first and then anything after it. So the asterisk means as long as it had Rotary, I wish I could say that right, Rotary at the beginning, everything, and then we want anything else after it. Now then just click the next cell. You don't have to type in the like. The country club names all had the name of the country club first and then country club at the end. So we want the wild card at the beginning because it was Smith Country Club and Jones Country Club. So we want the asterisk before country club. And then the last one, and notice I'm not typing in like the minute I click the next cell. The foundation was at the was in the middle and at the end. So in this case we need asterisk foundation, because there was no consistency in that name. We've got to search before and after it. So, and then the like comes in itself. So let's run it. Let's see what we get. Okay, and let's compare that to, I know what I did wrong. It's not matching up. Okay, I'm going back to my access. What I didn't do here, going back to the requirements, was I didn't say I had to do it. Yeah, ascending order by last name. So mine isn't matching up. I see what I did wrong. So I'll bring up my work file. I need to now go back to design view to fix the criteria. Design view. So last name, sort, ascending, now, ooh, wrong thing, run it. And if I look at my list here compared to what it should look like in the instruction sheet, it matches now. Okay, so I will now save the query and close it. We're going to now do a calculated field. We want to create a query to answer the question, what is the value of each scholarship if the annual association makes a matching 50% donation? We want to display student ID, scholarship name, amount, in ascending order by student ID. We're going to format the calculated matching field to display the values as currency with 0 decimal places. We're going to save this as matching donation. Okay, so I'll bring up my Access work file. On the ribbon, I'm going to go to Create. And this time, I'm going to do this. Let's go ahead and do the wizard, because the next one we'll have to do design. And definitely do simple. Okay. I want the student ID, so that is obviously in the athletes table. So change to the athletes table, you want student ID. And we want the scholarship name. So now we're going to have to switch to the scholarships awarded table and select the scholarship name. And we want the amount, so select the amount. And click Next. Detailed, next. We're going to call this matching donations. And we have to modify this query. So click in the modify button and click Finish. What we need to add here, this last field here, is going to be a calculated field, okay? So we've got our 3. We could have done that through, this particular design shows you going through the design view. Make sure we set here student ID to ascending, and this last one will be calculated. So in your access file, let me go ahead, the amount should be, so I'm going to set the student ID, sort ascending, and what you want to do is click in the very first open field. So in the cell to the right of amount is the first open field. So here's your field row. You have student ID, scholarship name, amount, and this is the first available empty one. Up here on your ribbon, on the Query Tools Design tab, in the Query Setup, click the Builder button. And what you want to do here is we want to do the calculation of the amount. So you should see in the expression categories all the fields in here. And what we want, if you can see here, is the amount times 0.05%. So we can type in the name. We're supposed to name this field matching donations. So type in matching donations, colon, and the calculation is going to be the amount. So in the expression category section, just double click amount. Oh, click once. I'm sorry. Let's go back. You can either double click it, or if you click amount and OK, no, it won't do it. My bad. Let's pull Builder back up. Double click amount. Now type in an asterisk for multiplication, and this is a 50% donation, so type in 0.50 and click OK. So down in this field, if you hit your arrow over, you're going to see the calculation comes in. Now, I might have typed something in wrong. Let's run it to see if it works. If not, we'll have to do it again. Up here on the ribbon, click on the Run. That's what I was afraid of. I'm going to delete it out. Let's do it this way. Click on the Builder. Double click the amount. Asterisk times 0.50 and click OK. And when that happens, what I did was the matching donation in the field up there. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it doesn't. What it comes down here is you see expression 1 amount times 0.05. Let's run it. And here's our expression 1. This is the amount. So if it's a matching donation of 50%, then half of 300 is 150, half of 250 is 1. So that's correct. The problem is we were supposed to name this matching donation. So what we want to do is go back to Design View and edit that name. So on your Home tab, click the drop down arrow and go to Design View. And whatever you do, do not mess with that colon. That colon is so important. If anything happens to that colon, if you don't get it right, that's where it will mess up. So just highlight where it says expression 1 on the left hand side of that colon and type in matching, M-A-T-C-H, matching donations. And now run it again. And notice now, and if the field isn't wide enough, if you'll point to the right border of that field name, and when your pointer changes to that plus sign with the arrow pointing left and right, if you double click, it will automatically adjust the width of that column to match the largest entry in there, which happens to be the title. Now, one other thing we had to do was we had to format this so it's currency, so it has dollar signs and no decimal points. So we've got to go back again to the Design View, and on this field, just click anywhere in that field. It doesn't matter anywhere in that name. Up here on the Quick Tools Design tab in the Show Hide group, click on the Property sheet. Over here on General where it says Format, click in the cell next to Format and drop that arrow down and select Currency. Click in the next cell underneath it where it says Decimals, drop that down and do 0. Now let's run it again, and if we look at this compared to what we should see here, there's our dollar signs, there's our amounts, Jefferson's to DC. Just looking at it, it's correct. So let's save this, take this query and close it out. Okay, now step 13, and that's this is the last query we're going to do, and it's more calculations, so these are a little bit more complicated. We're going to use the min, max, and sum and average functions for a query. We're going to create a query to answer the questions: what are the total dollar amount, average dollar amount, minimum dollar amount, and maximum dollar amount of all the scholarships awarded. We're going to rename each field appropriately so that you see total amount, average amount, min, and max. And we're going to save this query as total, average, min, max scholarships awarded. Okay, let's bring up our Access work file. On the ribbon, click on Create, and we have got to use Design View this time. There's no other way. Click on Design View. And what we need is the amounts. The amounts are in the Scholarships Awarded table, so just select the Scholarships Awarded table and add it. Close your Show Table. And I need 4 amounts. I need the average, the min, the max, and the total. So what I'm going to have to do is double click the amount so it can come down here, but I need 4 of these. So double click again, so I have another one. Double click again, so I have my 3rd amount. Double click again for my 4th amount. Up on your Query Tools Design tab in the Show Hide group, you have a button that says Totals. Once you click that button, you're going to see a whole new row come in down here on your properties. Click the Totals, and all of a sudden you have a new row called Totals. Now what we want here, going back to this sheet, is the total amount. That would be the sum, the average, the min, and the max. So with your Access file, click in the first Group By cell that you see, so it should be the intersection of the first amount and the total row. When you click in that Group By, a drop-down arrow comes in. Drop down that arrow, and we want the total of that row, of that amount of scholarships, so click Sum. Click in the second amount field by the Group By in the total row, and this one we want to be the average. So when you drop down that arrow, select AVG for average. In the third amount field in the Group By cell, click in there, click the drop down, and this time we want the minimum amount of scholarship. On the last one in the Group By, this should be the max, so click Max. Now, if we run this, oh, is there 14? Click the Run button, and it shows you right here the sum is 10,575. I'm looking at mine. The average is 358. 350, that's correct. Then 107.50. 107.50, so it's correct, but the requirement was to rename each field so it's total amount, average, min, and max. We do have another one, 14. I'm sorry, that wasn't the last one. So bring up your Access file and go back, and we did this already in the previous one. Go back to your View button, go to Design, and in that first amount, this is a little bit different. What you have to do is click so that your insertion point is right before the uppercase A in amount. Type in, this was supposed to be total amount, so type in total amount and type in a colon, and it's very, very important that that's a colon. Make sure it's not a semicolon. I know it looks funny because you have a total amount, colon, amount, but that's the way it works. The left-hand side of that colon is the field name. The right-hand side of that colon is the field it's using. So you have to have it, you have to have that amount there twice, separated by a colon. The next one, type in average, maybe ERH, average, and then amount again, colon, and leave that amount that's already there. Then we want to type in minimum, amount, colon, and you still have that amount there, so it's minimum amount, colon, amount. Leave that second, that amount there that's already there, don't touch it. And the next one is max amount, colon. Now let's run it. Our fields are not wide enough, so if you, what we call an auto fit, if you point to the line that separates the two field names, notice you're not seeing the full names here, and when it changes to a plus sign with arrow pointing left and right, if you'll double click, it will automatically adjust those fields to the largest entry, and now you can see all of it. So when I bring this up, this is what it should look like. Now, we're going to call this total average min max scholarships awarded. So notice where it says query 1 there. Ours says query 1 because we went through the design. You know, when we did here on the wizard, it automatically asked you for the name. The query design does not. So when we save it now, it's going to automatically ask us for the name and then type in total average min max. Total average min max scholarship awarded. So I typed in my name and click OK. Changes the name up here and go ahead and close it. Now we're on the last one. Okay, the last one, we want to create a query to answer the question, what is the total amount awarded for each sport? We're going to display each sport with the total amount of scholarships awarded. We're going to rename the total column as total awarded. We're going to save this as total by sports. Okay, so notice here we have the group by. We need the fields sport and total awarded or amount. We're going to change the name and we'll do the group by. So this was the total amount of scholarships, the average amount, min max. We want the total awarded for each sport. So we're going to have to bring in that sport field. Okay, bring up access. On your ribbon, click create. And I'm trying to think. Let's go ahead and do it by design. Query design. And the only table that we need, it's the scholarships awarded table, has both the sport and the amount. So on your tables, just select the scholarships awarded, click add, and close that out. And the fields we need is the sport. So double click sport and amount. Double click amount. Right now we want to, because we have our sports, but we want the total amount for each sports. So we're going to have to use that sum function. So on the Query Tools Design tab, in the Show High Group, click your Totals button, and there's your group by. We don't need a group by the sport, we need the group by the amount. So just click in the group by cell that's in the amount field, click the drop down arrow and select sum, and let's run it. And when we look at what we have here, baseball, basketball, volleyball, baseball, basketball, all the way into volleyball, 1,035 to 650. The only difference here is, notice how the system automatically will name that sum of amount. Our instruction was here to change it rename the column to total awarded, and then we're going to save it total by sports. So right here, we still have to rename it, but this field needs to be renamed, so we have to go to the Home tab, click the drop-down view, go to Design View, and right just like that last one, click right in front of the uppercase A in amount, type in total awarded colon. There again, that colon is so important. It will not work. It will not look right. And I know it's total awarded colon, and leave that amount that's already there. Run it. If you need to auto adjust the columns, you can. So compared to this, that looks right. Okay. Now we're going to save it and call it totals by sport. So we're going to save it, name it totals by sport. Click OK. We're going to totally now, because we're finished, exit access. To close the database file, do not submit it with it open. I will probably not get it. And we're going to submit the file via the assignment link. So I'm going to close my instructions. And I'm going to close out of Access. If it asks me to save it, fine. It shouldn't. I will bring up now my Blackboard. I will click on the assignment link. I will scroll down and to the assignment submission section, click on Browse My Computer. And on my desktop, it should be Lab 3 work file. Lab 3 work file. Do not worry about tacking on another number. Make sure it's attached. Hit Submit. If you have any problems, contact me.